صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك وعلى آل بيتك الطيبين الطاهرين صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك يا ليتنا ثم يا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. قال الله العظيم في محكم كتابه الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الذين اتخذوا دينهم لهوا ولعبا وغرتهم الحياة الدنيا فاليوم ننساهم كما نسوا لقاء يومهم هذا وما كانوا بآياتنا يجحدون. آمنا بالله. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, did He created us for this world or not? Some people, they live their life and have the belief that whatever it is, this is it. It's all here. Heaven is here, hell is here. Some people who are from a school of thought who believe in reincarnation. And of course it's different kind of beliefs as well. That if you are a good person, you will be reincarnated, maybe a prince or a princess. If you're a bad person, maybe gonna reincarnate it into a cockroach. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us that we are not created for this world by what? By bringing us to this world, and people see that. People don't just pop up like mushrooms, right? And they see the process that the woman gets pregnant, the child grows in the womb and comes into this world. And they grow and grow until even their cells, they say every 10 years or 7 years, your body is not the same body anymore. You have different cells. Hair, I mean, most definitely, of course. Nails, that's for sure. But even the body, that some parts, of course, regenerates, some other no, dies out, and some other replace it. So when that process slows down, that is what you see. For example, my black hair turns into gray. My good skin turns into wrinkles. So you see, this is like from the time you are born, you're going what? Towards the grave. So in a way, it's a sign for us that no, it's not just this world. There's something bigger. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even says, I created هو الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He who created maut first, He says, then hayat. Because hayat, إن الآخرة لهي الحيوان. The akhirah is the true life. Like the child, the infant, the baby in the womb is not completed. It's not completed, even though he might think that he's completed. But when he comes out to this world, he says, oh, wow, this is a much bigger world. They say that because of a hurricane, a fish fell into a pond. So the frog that was living there asked the fish, where are you coming from? It says, the ocean. It says, what is the ocean? It says, like, it's a very massive place. It says, bigger than this? He said, of course. He said, bigger than this pond? This pond? He said, yeah. He says, how can that be? But we are, in our thinking, are limited. Even the science now, they are discovering universes. Not universes like galaxies, billions of light years away. There is no chance that any human can get there. We couldn't even get to the mast. I mean, bringing people, of course, taking people. Yet alone to what? To different galaxy. So it's impossible. And in that galaxy, there's billions, no, trillions in the galaxies, stars. And God knows, and He only knows that how many planets. So when you think of that, it says, wow, we live in a really small place. So heaven in itself is bigger than the whole thing. And you are not been created for what? For this one. You've been created for the hereafter. Imam Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi, lived about 57 years old. 57 years of age. And he was martyred in the year 61 of Hijrah. So minus 1443 is what? 1382. Right? He's this much time what? In heaven. And let's say Yazid lived 2 more years. He's 1,380 years in hell. So, was it worth it? And while we're at it, let just someone send an angel to ask Yazid, alayhi la'anallah, what did your ancestor think of you now? Didn't you say they're gonna be proud of me? You brought more shame for them and more sins for them as well, because you were the result of their doings as well. Yazid is what? One of the sins of Muawiyah. So, what to do? Leave this life altogether, become a Sufi? No, of course not. Islam didn't ask you for this. وَلَا تَنْسَ نَصِيبَكَ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا. You have this life, You can enjoy this life. But don't let life own you. You own this life instead. You use it instead. Don't let it use you. People think that, they are gathering money and they are living it up. So until what? They say, we want $1 million, for example. Right? Then when they get to that million, okay, his ambitions grows. No, I want 2 million now. And grows and grows, and he grows with that ambition until what? He leaves that all behind. Should be a balance. A mu'min is balanced. You sometimes see some people when they buy a new phone or a new car, right? They gotta be very careful about that car. They get very anxious if they see a line, just like a small key line on that paint, and probably he's gonna lose his sleep over it. So for a while at least, that car owns him, not the other way around. And same thing goes for kids. Same thing. That's even harder. Let me give you an example. Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Zubayr was a good person until his son Abdullah grew up. And then he did what? He misled his own father. Why did Zubayr let him do that? We have a narration in that regard. الزبير منا حتى شب ابنه Abdullah. That until Zubayr was from us who? Ahl al-Bayt. Until his son Abdullah grew up. And he misled him. A mu'min is vigilant. A mu'min always sees, okay, I don't want people, for example, to own me. I control my life. I don't want someone to control my life instead of me. And that, I'm not gonna bring, marital disputes, who's controlling who, but it's not even, I'm not talking about that. Abi Abdullah salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi sent a letter to Muhammad ibn al-Hanafi and Bani Hashim. From where? From Karbala. From Karbala. And that letter was a very short letter. Very short. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What? From Hussein ibn Ali to Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah and Bani Hashim after. كأن الدنيا لم تكن وأن الآخرة لم تزل. It's like this world never been and the hereafter was always there. And that proof is in Quran as well. That when some people, sinners, will be resurrected and come, they ask them, كم لبثتم? How many years you've lived? You know what their reply is? لبثنا يوما أو بعض يوم. A day or few days. Day or few days. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Nuh, do you know any other prophet that lived as much as him? There's a dispute in regard of Khidr, but still, Nuh overlived that amount. We say that even Khidr is a prophet, and how much he lived, we don't know. Nuh lived 850 years before his prophethood. And 950 years, he was what? Preaching to the people after his prophethood. And 500 years after the flood. So combined is how much? 2,500. 2,500 years. 2,500, right? So one day he was working and he saw angel of death. Okay, what are you doing here? He knows it. He's a prophet. What do you want? Came to take your life, your soul. He said, okay, do I still have time to go from under the sun to the shadow? He said, yes, you still have that amount. So he went. And when he was under that shadow, he said, my entire life was like that. From sun to the shadows. And that's it. And that's it. If you don't believe me, see yourselves. A lot of us are immigrants, right? We were not born in this country. How many of you don't remember? Maybe just a few, right? The majority, at least 99% of you, remember the first day you came to this country. If it was 3 years or 13 or even 20 years ago. When you remember it, it was like what? You said, oh, it was like yesterday. It was just like yesterday. I was chatting with a friend of mine, and I was telling him that, you remember back in the day when we used to do this here? He says, yeah, that was what, 12 years ago? I said to him, it was 18 years ago. He said, really? Yes. He said, it was I still remember the first time I saw you. And it is like this. For everyone experiences this. The time passes by. What the narration says, that يمر مر السحاب اغتنموا فرص الخير تؤجروا. That this passes by like what? Like clouds. Sometimes you think the clouds are still, standing still. You're probably even gonna give an address behind that cloud. But it's moving without you noticing. All of a sudden, oh, it's a different cloud now. It's even sunny now. And this is how life is. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He lived all kinds of, in every kind of situation. How? Been a fugitive, they were after in a battle, exiled. That was, I think, in the time of Uthman, he, a couple of times, exiled Amir al-Mu'mineen outside of Medina. And a ruler. All that. And what does he have to say about this life? He says about this life, this dunya that what? That owns people. Like عراق خنزير في يد مجذوم. To Amir al-Mu'mineen, dunya is what? Like what? Like a bone of a pig that contains a few meat on it. in the hand of what? Of Majdoom, someone with leper. You know, you don't go near someone with that. It's contagious. So he says, Duniya, to me it's like this. Someone, I think Ibn Abbas, came to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, and he himself, Ruhi lahu al-Fida, was fixing his sandals, or as we call it here, jandals, right? He was fixing his sandals. So he told Ibn Abbas, how much do you think this sandal worth? Ibn Abbas says, I don't know. Like, imagine the commander of faithful, right? Amir al-Mu'mineen, the cousin of Rasulullah, the ruler, the general, all that, asked you, know how much this is worth? He says, I don't know. I said, come on, give me a number. It's like maybe a few dirhams, I don't know. And I think few dirhams, because it belonged to Amir al-Mu'mineen, maybe some people wanted to buy it, maybe even less. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, Imratukum hadih. This rules, like me being your Amir is what? Worth to me more than this. No more than this. Duniya came to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He didn't go to Duniya. And he what? He humiliated that dunya. He goes on a minbar, right? And tells the people that إنما إمامكم قد اكتفى من دنياه بطمريه ومن طعامه بقرصيه إلا أنكم لا تقدرون على ذلك. That your imam, your leader, from this world he's sufficed with this 2 pieces of clothing, 2, and 2 loaves of bread. I know you cannot handle it. Yeah. صدقت يا أمير المؤمنين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. Says, but أعينوني, help me. Help me means what? Help yourself. Amir al-Mu'mineen doesn't need help. You know, some people live, some countries even, live lavish life to an extent that, I think it's Qatar, that in order for everyone to live like them, we need 2 more planets. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's why you see some of those people are cold-hearted, hearts like stone. But a mu'min, for him this dunya is not that goal. Because even you see sometimes those celebrities, why do you think they commit suicide? Well, they're depressed. So no, you know, it's a disease, you know, it's like this. Yeah, well, what happened to them? Like he was bullied when he was 16? Truly. I think one of the actors, the high school that that he was studying in, invited him back to like give a lecture, like, you know, that he was there and he's a celebrity, he's a big actor. And he refused because he was bullied there. Boo-hoo. Some people are like that. So when they get to that stage, say, okay, what is after this? Nothing. Nothing. So this life is what? Worth nothing. But for the mu'min, for the mu'min, you see here, how many of you, right, of mu'mins who are from different country than Afghanistan, right? From different country than Afghanistan, are upset to extent that you always like watch the news and you see what's going on. Like, all of a sudden, it's in the hand of, again, a Daesh-like people. What's going to happen to the Shia over there? So even if someone at that moment tells you, you know, you won, I don't know, this much money, or someone gave you this much money, you're not gonna, care about that. So what? So what? When you see some of those family flee in fear, the fear is in their eyes, you can see it. Little kids, little children. And what? It was like, how many months ago? And people that are gonna probably rule Afghanistan now, there were people who are responsible for killing like about 60 children in that school. So what's gonna happen to the Shia there? So you see, Duniya doesn't even though I am thousands of miles away, my heart still aches for them. I still worry for them. This is what? Is one of the signs of mu'min. Mu'min doesn't just see himself, not just worry about himself and his family. Mu'min see what? See everything. That if something happens to them, it's like happening to himself and his family. That's a mu'min who cares less about this dunya, and he uses that dunya, and do not let the dunya uses him. That's how we should be. Truly imagine if we as a Shia in the world, I'm not gonna say all united, because it's kind of impossible, right? Unless our master, Sahib al-Asr wa Zaman, Ajallah Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif, comes. Like 50% of us, no, even 20% of us think like that. Truly think like that. Trust me, they will lead the countries that they live in. And not in a bad way, no, making everyone's life a little bit more easier and more beautiful. That's what we want for humankind. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants for all humankind. He's the creator of all. He didn't just choose one nation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose what? Adam to be his Khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa. Kulluna min Adam wa Adam min turab. We all are from what? Adam. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamu alayhi says in his will to Imam Hassan and Hussein, أوصيكم بتقوى الله وأن لا تبغي الدنيا وإن بغتكما. Allahu Akbar. First of all is taqwa. Second is what? Don't want this life even if this life wanted you. Why? What's so bad about this dunya? Dunya is good. Dunya is good for what purpose? Because in dunya, you decide your destiny in Akhirah. It's like you're saying, being in a womb is bad. No. That world in itself is good because you need to grow there. But saying that reminds me of one point that, sometimes how a child comes into this world blind. Right? Or have some problems because of some deficiency. There he was all right. There, at that womb, he was fine. But when he came here, he what? He was blind, for example. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the Quran, "Man kana fiha a'ma, fahuwa fil akhirati a'ma." How? If you don't do and use this dunya for your own what? For your own akhirah, you there will have a problem. Because the way things works there is different. Like the way things work in the womb is different than this world. There you need other things to use. Different parts of your soul to use. I don't know how we will look like, but from riwayat and akhbar is that people will look more beautiful, taller, all that in the hereafter. In Jannah. In Jannah, that's it. In hellfire, inshallah, none of you and none of the Shia, none of Muhabbin, Amir al-Mu'minin, salawatullah wa salamu alayhim ajma'in, even sees the hell. Because even looking at it is horrifying. One of my late relatives used to say, Allahumma la turawwa'ni. Don't scare me in the hereafter. And all that is scary. So, if we use this dunya for the purpose of akhirah, you will be what? In Jannah. If not, the dunya uses you, and like it used millions but billions of other people. Sometimes, why do you think some people want a different kind of looking car, even customized car? Why? Or a customized watch, or different kind of watch, to stand out. To stand out from the crowd. Say, oh, this is different. Don't you want to stand out from the crowd in the hereafter and saying, I'm VIP? Why? I am with Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Sallallahu alaihi Islam, unlike other religions, especially Judaism, who they don't talk much about hereafter and what will happen. Even Christianity, they don't have details. Islam has details and in everything. From the time you die until the time you're resurrected. What will happen? And that's a good thing, right? Because it makes you prepare. Even little things like what? If you want to bury someone, it says, when you taking him near the grave, put him down. Why? Because he wants to get prepared. He's been transferred from this life to hereafter, and that's the gateway. Said, let him be prepared. Put him down one time, pick him up, put him down again 3 times. When he's there, what's going to happen? What's he's going to face? What's he's going to watch? It's like you are traveling and you prepared for everything. You have your Swiss knife with you, you have your mobile phone, your power bank, your charger, everything. You prepared for everything. Of course, you're going to be different than someone who just goes, we're going to go and see what happens. Right? So, to prepare One of the things that is good for the qabr, I spoke about dying, and for the qabr is reciting two surahs in particular. One surah is Surah Surah Al-Mulk. Every night. It says, in the qabr, it will help you. How? That Munkar Nakir, who's Munkar Nakir? That is one of our beliefs. We have to believe in what? Munkar Nakir, the one that will ask you, the two angels. Inshallah, they just gonna leave soon, and after them there comes two other angels, Mubashir wa Bashir. Anyway, so the two angels that comes, they Surah Tabarak will what? Be there for you. From every way they come, say, leave him alone. Leave him alone. Protect you. From what? Adhab al-Qabr. What else? Surah Tabarak is about like 2 pages and a half, right? But there's a different surah if you're really tired and if you don't have time. Surah Al-Hakum Al-Takathur. Just this surah. That if you recite this surah, you will be what? Protected from Adhab al-Qabr. You're taking with you what? Those a'mal will be manifested. Someone was in a graveyard, in a cemetery. Someone was just buried. And he saw a person, a very beautiful person, very good scent. The scent actually led him to turn around and see who's coming. And he went into a grave. He was inside the grave. And after that, he smelled a stench. And he saw a dog, ugly looking dog, came and went inside the same grave. And that person got out of the grave, been bitten, looked different. So he said, I went after him. I said, what are you? What is this? He says, I'm the good deeds that was manifested in this form. And that dog is what was the sins. They say the scale, right? The scale, the hereafter. They say Ibrahim ibn Adham al-Balkhi from Afghanistan, of course. I don't know if Balkh now is part of Afghanistan or not. Is it? Okay. So he was a king, son of a king, grandson of a king. Famous one. He saw someone, an old man, saying, I want to go inside. He heard him, I want to go inside this khan. What is khan? Khan is like, it's not a hotel, it's not a motel. It's like a place between the roads or some places, right? That people just stay there for a night and they go about their lives. Like a motel, let's say, equivalent to today's motel. Says, I want to enter this khan. Says, this is not a khan, this is a palace. Says, no, I want to enter this khan. And he said, bring him up. Why are you calling my palace as a khan? Says, because it is a khan. Says, what is a khan? It's a khan, it's like for a period of time, someone comes, stays, and someone else goes. Says, this is not like that. Says, but it is. Like, who was here before you? Says, my father. Says, who was before him? Says, his grandfather, his father. Says, okay, they are gone, they stayed here, they gone, and now you're staying here, and you will be gone as well. Let's say he left everything and went and became a scholar. So, it's like that. Do you feel sorry when you even leave a 5-star hotel? I don't know, but I don't think so. Like, this is not, it wasn't yours to begin with. What are you so, sorry of? What are you so sad about? It wasn't yours to begin with. It was someone else's. That's why they say, one of the most people who regret in the hereafter is the people who inherit money, and that the inheritor will do good with that money and leave them without anything. Because why? Because that money they will be accounted for. It will be held accountable. For a while that money was in their possession and they didn't do anything with it. That's why they say some of their souls will come to this life and tell the people that, please help us. They beg actually. They say some souls cry. They souls come, some of the souls more, some of the souls less, but the souls of mu'mineen come more to their people. They are more free, and they will see their family, and they will see just the good what they are doing. They're not gonna see the bad. So it depends on how good are you. That's gonna happen. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Something else as well can help with adhab al-qabr is, and wahshat al-qabr, loneliness of the grave. From Imam As-Sadiq alayhi salam says, قال من قال لا إله إلا الله الملك الحق المبين. La ilaha illallah, everyone knows. Malikul Haqqul Mubin, 3 words, just 3. La ilaha illallah al-Malikul Haqqul Mubin, أعاذه الله العزيز الجبار من الفقر وآنس وحشة قبره واستجلب الغنى واستقرع باب الجنة. 100 times, just 100 times. La ilaha illallah al-Malikul Haqqul Mubin. Worth it or not, try it. What will you receive? First of all, wealth in this life. Second, you're not going to be lonely in your grave. Third, you're going to knock the door of heaven. La ilaha illallah al-Malik al-Haqq al-Mubin, 100 times. What else? But as I was mentioning, the mu'min doesn't always think of himself. He thinks of his relatives, he thinks of his loved ones, he thinks of his relatives and the loved ones that are no longer in this world. And he sends sadaqah for them. How that sadaqah can be received by them. It's beautiful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will order Jibreel, not like any other angel, Jibreel, with 70 of the angels. And they will go, and every of those angels has like a plate in his hand, bringing what? Gift to that deceased, and say, Assalamu alayka muhibballah. That person should be a mu'min as well. هذه هدية فلان المؤمن إليك. This is the gift of, for example, this mu'min, Muhammad, to you. فَيَسْتَضِيءُ قَبْرُهُ. His grave will be illuminated, filled with light. وَيَمْنَحُهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِي الْجَنَّةِ أَلْفَ بَلَدٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the heavens, He gave him what? 1,000 places. ويزوجه حورية اللهم ارزقنا ويلبسه له ألف حاجة ويلبي له apparently ألف حاجة ويلبسه ألف حلة, that ويقضي له ألف حاجة ويلبسه ألف حلة, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter, people has hajat as well. Human beings always have a hajat. Doesn't matter, like if he's dead or he's alive. His soul always wants something more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter gives him what? 1,000 of his wishes. 1,000 wish. I can't think of 1,000 wish here, yet alone over there. But the soul is different there. The brain is different there. So, isn't it worth it to send hajat and send thawab to the mu'mineen and mu'minat in general? In general, someone says and does something for all mu'mineen and mu'minat, not just his relatives, all mu'mineen and mu'minat. Like recites a surah in Quran, for example, Fatiha. Or, for example, Salat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. The people in this life, as I mentioned, are different. And their wishes and their ambitions, sometimes more, sometimes less. But young people, they have a lot of wishes in this life. If he's not married, he wants to get married. If he doesn't have children, he wants to get children. If he doesn't have a house, he wants to buy one. If he doesn't have a car, he wants to own one. If he doesn't have this, so there is a long list for a young man. Sometimes someone is in his 40s, established. Sometimes he's in his 50s, established. So he will not have as much wishes. He will have a lot of hope. His eager for staying more, alive and get more money will grow, but the wishes will be less than a young man. Abi Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, at the night of Ashura, at that night, he tells them, you can go. And of course, they say, no, how can we go and leave you? And he says that everyone will be martyred. So there is this young man that the narration says, لم يبلغ الحلم. Hulum means like he was not still 15, he was less than that. Some people say he was 13. And he is the son of Imam Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salam. And when his father passed away, was martyred, Al-Qasim was about 2 years old. So he basically was raised by his uncle. He says, oh uncle, will I be killed as well? Imam Hussein sees this young man like he's a son to him. He took care of him all these years. He saw him grow into this young boy. He tells him, how do you see death? How do you see death? Death is bitter. How do you see it? He says, في نصرتك يا عم أحلى من العسل. In aiding you sweeter than honey. So Qasim, he saw his uncle and his master Hussein standing there and calling upon people. هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من داب يذب عن حرم رسول الله So he comes, لبيك يا عم, لبيك يا Hussein. He comes to his uncle, and he has his sword on, and he just has a shirt on. He says, "Uncle, give me permission." The narration states that when Imam Hussein saw him, he refused. He refused first. So what Qasim did, he fell kissing the hands and the feet of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein salamullah alayhi, begging Abi Abdullah to allow him to go to the battle. Abi Abdullah embraced Al-Qasim. Abi Abdullah started weeping, crying, and with Qasim until they fell to the ground. Then Imam Hussein salamullah alayhi fixed Al-Qasim's imama, fixed his shirts, and he allowed him to go. Hamid ibn Muslim was a narrator, a historian who was there watching and telling people what happened after. Hamid ibn Muslim says that while we were standing waiting for someone to come, we saw shabun, a young man, لم يبلغ الحلم وجهه كفلقة قمر, and his face looked like a moon. He came saying, إن تنكروني فأنا نجل الحسن صبط النبي المصطفى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لاصقوا صوب المزن. And he says, he starts fighting like heroes. He starts killing them one by one. The knights will start falling in front of Al-Qasim. All of a sudden, Qasim is like Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, like his uncle Amir al-Mu'mineen. Hamid ibn Muslim says, وَإِذَا بِشِسْعِ نَعْلِهِ قَدْ انْقَطَعَ. His left sandals was opened, and he says that وَإِذَا بِهِ يَنْزِلْ لِكَيْ يُصْلِحَهُ, and he started fixing that without even looking at those people. وَإِذَا بِلَعِينَ, and someone came to Qasim and struck Qasim on his head. رحم الله من نادى وقاسما Qasim, when he fell to the ground, he called upon Abi Abdullah al-Hussein, Ammi Hussein, adrikni. Oh, Uncle Hussein, come to me. Imam Hussein, the narrator says, come to the Qasim like an eagle come for its prey. Abi Abdullah went after the one who killed Qasim and struck him on his hand, and he severed his hand, and the people who wanted to aid him, they came to rescue him, but they killed him instead. Abi Abdullah, the narrator says, عندما هدأت الغبرة وعندما انجلأت الغبرة, when the dust settled, they saw Abi Abdullah lifting the head of Qasim, saying, عز على عمك أن تدعوه فلا يجيبك أو يجيبك فلا ينفعك. It's dear to me, O Qasim, that you call upon your uncle and he cannot help you, and when he comes to you he cannot do anything. The narrator said, we saw Hussein salamullahi alayhi picked up Qasim, but we saw the feet of Qasim was dragging on the sand. So Abi Abdullah Salaamullah alayhi was actually bowing down. Abi Abdullah Salaamullah alayhi went to the tent, put the Qasim next to Ali al-Akbar. He once sees and one saw Ali al-Akbar, Bunayya Ali. On the other side he sees Qasim, Bunayya Qasim. جوان آرزو دارد. واقعا وقتی جوان از این دنیا می رود خیلی سخت، خصوصا بر پدر و مادر و خصوصا بر مادر. حضرت قاسم میگن روز عاشورا اومد پیش حضرت ابی عبدالله سلام الله علیه، اجازه خواست از حضرت یک نگاهی بهش کرد، شمائل برادرش حسن را دارد، دلش نیومد، بهش اجازه نداد. اینجا حضرت قاسم چیکار میکنه؟ حضرت قاسم میگن افتاد روی دست پای حضرت ابی عبدالله، شروع کرد التماس و بوسیدن پا و دست حضرت ابی عبدالله، تا اینکه حضرت ابی عبدالله قاسم را در آغوش گرفتن، شروع کردن گریه کردن تا وقتی که دوتاشون از حال رفتند. حضرت وقتی که پا شد شروع کرد قاسم آماده کردن برای جنگ. این نوجوان که به سن بلوغ نرسیده، حمید بن مسلم یکی از آنایی بود که در لشکر عمر بن سعد لعین بود، اما فقط اونجا روایت میکرد که چی شد. گفت که حمید بن مسلم یک جوان را دیدیم، وجهه کفلقة قمر، صورتش مانند ماه تابان روبرومان آمد و شروع کرد جنگیدن. میگه یهویی این نعل سمت چپ پاش قطع شد، اومد با این قاسم که این نعلش رو درست بکنه، یکی از لعنا یکی از کفار قاسم را بر سرش زد. اونجا حضرت قاسم داد زد عم یا حسین. حضرت ابی عبدالله مانند یک عقابی که اومد پایین به مقتل و اون کسی را که حضرت قاسم را کشته بود و زده بود کشت. اومدن دیدن این یهویی چی شد؟ هیچی، این همشون اونجا شلوغ شد. یهویی وقتی اونجا خلوت شد دیدن حضرت ابی عبدالله نشسته پیش سر قاسم. اونجا حضرت داره گریه میکنه، قاسم خیلی عزیزی بر عمو که صدا میزنی من نتونستم بیام و وقتی اومدم دیر اومدم. میگن حضرت ابی عبدالله رشید بودن، قد بالایی داشتند، بلند بودن، اما وقتی قاسم رو برداشتن حضرت ابی عبدالله قدشون خمیده شده بود. حضرت ابی عبدالله حضرت قاسم رو بردن در خیمه نزدیکی گذاشتن، نزد علی اکبر گذاشتن. از یک طرف میگفتن و علی، از یک طرف میگفتن و قاسم. لاله خشک شده، زینت صحرا شده ای، باغبان نیست ببیند که چنین وا شده ای. حضرت امیر اونجا نبودن که ببینن سر مبارک حضرت قاسم مثل سر خودشون باز شده. سنگها نقل شدند و به سرت پاشیدند، تازه داماد عمو به که چه زیبا شده ای. آنقدر جسم نحیف تو به هم پیچیده، هرچه که می نگرم شکل معما شده ای عمو جان، عمو جان. انا لله و انا الیه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل بيت محمد أي منقلب سينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. وأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى to hasten the reappearance of Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect the Shia and the Muhabbin of Ahl al-Bayt all around the world, and especially now in Afghanistan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect our youth and our younger ones and keep them on the path of Ahl al-Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enlighten us with the narrations of Ahl al-Bayt, enlighten our heart, our path. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fill our heart with the love of Ahl al-Bayt salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the ayah sharifa to protect and help the helpless people of Afghanistan, the Shia of Afghanistan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by this ayah sharifa to give us speedy recovery. We have some people who ask for dua, they have patience, to give them inshallah speedy recovery. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء، 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. صلوات.